Bright stage light, that's going to help me stay awake. I know that when the lights go out, sometimes I go out with the lights when I'm tired. So, yeah, that's probably too much information for some of you out there. But I guess that was my Simpsons couch gig. And especially since I went to a movie at the Lagoon Theater in uptown Minneapolis Sunday. And that meant I missed out on watching the new episode of The Simpsons, so there we go. But in some ways, I was still reminded of that show because I went to see that documentary about Buster Keaton, the silent film star, and they did have a clip from The Simpsons in it. I guess it was recycling of one of the gags from his popular silent movies. So there you go. And I know that it doesn't take me that much to get to a point of saying, oh, it reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons because they've parodied just about everything. And I also remember an episode of that show where somebody got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and they took out Buster Keaton's for it. So, yeah, that's kind of weird. But that's the kind of humor you can expect from that show as well. I call myself a stodgy academic, so I said, yeah, that really fits for me on going to see a documentary about a silent film star. Always something I can learn, being a history major, so of course that type of movie really works for me. We are who we are. I know I've heard before that some people say you can't give yourself a nickname. It's like, somebody forgot to tell boxers they give themselves nicknames all the time. Come on, people. So, there we go. I weighed in on that one. And more movie stories, yes. I find that there are plenty of good movies you can find for free on loan from the library if you get them back in time within a week's time. And the most recent one of note to me was called Beer Fest. And I know why I got it. There was only one actor I recognized on the cover of the DVD, and that was Cloris Leachman. It's like, okay. And for some reason, it's going to make me think of Weekend at Bernie's, because I know when I finally saw that movie, I kept saying, idiot, a lot throughout it, because it's a farce. There's a lot of stupid humor in it, slapstick and such. And I probably did the same thing with Beer Fest. I know I definitely said farce, because that's when things get really ridiculous, and it really does at times. But what surprised me is that some of my comic friends, I mentioned the name of the movie to them, and they said they weren't familiar with it. It's like, really? It was from about 12 years ago, but no, I guess they have not. I don't know about every movie that comes down the pipe either, so as the name suggests, it's about beer and drinking a lot of it. It's something I have steered clear of, but I know why comedies are often popular. You're laughing at it because it's not happening to you! Yeah, it took me a while to figure that one out, watching a lot of sitcoms when I was young, but yeah, there we go. And of course, that kind of dovetails with a novelty t-shirt I've seen before, something I don't agree with though, something about, it's not funny until somebody gets hurt, then it's hilarious. And it's like, yeah, I don't agree with that, and I call that thanks for the warning, where I can't be friends with somebody who has that type of shirt. I guess that's also the case with anybody who runs around with shirts that says, fuck you, you fucking fuck. It's like, oh, you really like that swear word, don't you? It's proof of limited vocabulary. And then the third movie one. I know that I usually spend a lot of time, if I'm going to skewer any family member, it's my dad, because I talk to him the most. But I've realized that there are some really good ones about my stepfather who, when I was at a loss for how to describe him, I would say he's too much like Homer Simpson, and then if people have seen The Simpsons, then they know the reference there. I remember his reaction to two different movies, which was proof of how he is the smartest one out there, and that made it hard to be a role model to me. The first movie that stood out to me was Rocky V. He actually laughed at that one scene where the brother-in-law Paulie signs away power of attorney to a crooked account that bankrupts Rocky. Yeah, anybody who laughs at that is quite likely to get duped by that type of scam. And then the other one would be a heist movie called The Score, starring Robert De Niro, Marlon Brando, and Ed Norton. And I am not sure who has seen that, but it's from over a decade ago. And I had to explain to him that what the Ed Norton character was about. Basically, he was a con man. The way that he got people's confidence was, let's see, what's the term? Developmentally disabled. I'm trying to think of what other term they'd have for that. And he even broke character at one point in the movie, saying, "I'm Max's guy in the customs house." And that wasn't enough for him to understand that it was just an act to get somebody's confidence. Okay. I'm not always aware of what's around me. But, all right, I got laughs that I guess that's what we're all hoping for, but all right. So I guess that was about it on that one. And I know there's one term I don't understand why it gets used so much, the term called shaming, where they say everything seems to be shaming, and I don't understand that. I mean, there are times where I've been accused of trying to shame somebody. It's like, really? I was just explaining that something was from the movie Blues Brothers, and somebody, I guess, hadn't seen that movie, and they said I was trying to shame them. It's like, no. I've also been accused of being snarky just because I'm being calmly honest with people, and it's like, wow. Some people are a little too sensitive about things. I guess I'm reminded of a quote by Muhammad Ali, the boxer, that was about comedy. I tell the truth and people think that's funny. Either that or they think that I'm trying to shame them. Either way, it doesn't quite make sense to me at times. But then again, when has life ever made complete sense? So I guess that'll do it for me. Thank you, been great. And I'll put the music stand back up too.
Thank you. Woo!